Some people don't want you to say this. Some people don't want you to say that. Some people think if you mention some things, they might happen. Some people are really fucking stupid. Did you ever notice that? How many really stupid people you run into during the day? God damn, there's a lot of stupid bastards walking around.
It is now time to explain to people just what's wrong with me. Yay!
I'm still here, like a statue staring at you. I will stand the test of time, and if I sit, I'll still be twice as tall with my head in the sky. Looking down at all you birds who talk on Twitter, thinking there's power behind your words. Calling me corny behind your computer in the fucking suburbs. You're way too late. I've mastered this, and now I'm better than great. In fact, I might just be top 5 all time, or at least top 10. Well, maybe 9 minus 5 divided by 2 minus the amount of times we all get to live this life. That's one, don't waste it.
This is Maria Humphreys. Strong body, strong soul. Origin show. Check her out. Thank you for this wonderful message.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you happen to be getting this message. I am Maria. I'm the host of the Strong Body, Strong Soul podcast here on Anchor. It can be found, of course, everywhere, as you plainly know. I just saw your post in the Anchor FM Facebook group, and I just thought I would call in and say hi. Messages, they're so rare nowadays. It's harder to find shows that you like here on Anchor, so I really rely on those Facebook groups. I loved your post this morning. Absolutely. I think that it is possible. It is essential that we support each other, whether we jive with the content or not. Encouraging each other, helping each other grow, learning from each other, listening, and aspiring to be better.
Thank you, Maria Humphreys. Thank you for leaving that message. I heard the message and I said, who's this? I don't remember talking to anybody named Maria or your episode. And then I'm like, wow. What you said was just wow. It was amazing. And now I'm like, how much of this can I take? You know, and I mean this in a way where it's hard to explain. Like, am I able to do this all by myself? Because there's a lot of people showing me support or wanting to be heard, and I think it's amazing, just like what you said. And I know I can do it, but at the same time, I was doubting myself, and then I heard a message like that, and then I'm like, you know what? It's really not that hard. And then I seen how long you've been podcasting, which just blew me right out of the water. I'm thinking maybe that she's new or whatever, and you've been doing this for a while. So I really am going to probably listen to your podcast, because this is right up my alley. This is what I need. I need people to understand that some of the stuff that you talk about on some of your show on the topics, because I did a quick stroll and I scrolled down and I listened, and I was like, this is what I've been looking for. So, like I said, I believe in karma, and I think I just got a little bit of a taste of that. And just as I was doubting myself last night, right before I went to bed and did like a horrible show, I'm like, I I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with this pace. And here you are this morning hitting me up with that message, all because of a post in Facebook group. So I wish you nothing but the best, and I cannot wait to really get to know you better through your podcast and see where it goes from there. So thank you once again, Maria Humphreys.
A good lesson continuing. These shows on Netflix, for example, have you seen the show 13 Reasons Why? The first season was incredible. It opened up my eyes to what the kids are going through today in today's world. It was tremendously well done, directed, written. It was beautiful. 13 Reasons Why, Season 4. So now, like, you're gonna go on this whole journey. I didn't even know they made 4 seasons, honestly. And not to spoil anything about the show, but I mean, why not just make it, 13 seasons of why? I mean, it looks like it's never ending. So I watched it just to see what the second episode and second season and third season was about. I'm not going to ruin it, but anyway, that's a good show. Any parent out there have kids that are, I guess, 13 or older, I would really recommend you watch a little bit, just to give you a heads up. So this is a spoiler, not really, but just a little bit. It's about drugs and bullying. There's rape and just kids making stupid ass mistakes. Kids being kids. So I don't know how old is a good age for that, but you can never be too young to learn. But I mean, come on, there's a limit. And they do talk about that, which I recommend that show. Going on to the next good lesson. You want a life lesson. Well, stop being so fucking stupid. That's it. Just stop being stupid. I'm talking about the people out there who are doing stupid shit. And I mean the dumb fucking moronic shit that you do. And don't get me wrong, I'm gonna say something I probably never really said on podcasting. And, because I don't really like to talk about religion and politics. A lot of people know this, but there's people in prison who were in there for life. I was watching a documentary on this, and I knew about what they go through because I've seen this enough. I didn't spend, it's not true. I spent like 4 days in like a jail, not prison, a jail, 1 year in juvie. But I understand that feeling of not being free or something of that nature. But these guys have been in there for a long time for crimes they committed. Like, let's say they were 16 years old, they did something stupid, or 18, whatever the age is. They do something stupid and they're in there for life. They've learned so much. They had so much growth. Some of these guys are on death row and they're just so accepting of what their punishment is. And I'm not sitting there making excuses up for them, but when does this is hard to talk about, but when does a person deserve a second chance? Now, I'm not talking about everybody in there. There's some guys in there that will absolutely 100% agree with this and say, I deserve to be in jail. I deserve to be on death row. I deserve a life sentence for whatever crime they committed. Okay. When like I said, this hits home not because, I have anybody who's been in prison except my sister who passed. She did 5 years. Nothing major, just drug bullshit. So, and she paid the ultimate price with her life. And, I know I talked a little bit about my niece, and by the way, I didn't really get too deep into that, but I'm trying to look at the lesson there is there's kids, and this is why I don't get into God and religion, because I don't believe in the God that people mostly believe in, like Catholic or anybody, because I can't see how somebody can go out there, rape a kid, okay, get away with it and live, or just something so horrific, and I believe they'll get what's coming to them. And then you got somebody like my niece who passed for what? You have a better chance of hitting the lottery and get struck by lightning in the same day than getting pulmonary hypertension. What was the reason for that? A lot of people bang their heads against the wall. A lot of philosophers talk about this. The reason why. I don't have the answer. I can only tell you, and for the kids that go through it, you are the real heroes. Doctors, EMTs, people like that. They are heroes. There are heroes in real life, but those kids that deal with what they deal with and have a strong mind and a strong soul, there's nobody who is stronger will, mind over body, over soul, over everything. I have no words for this. And then it comes back into being an adult. People who's done stupid shit. And maybe they spent 30 years of their life in prison because of something they've done. Robbery. I couldn't believe some of the things these people were in jail for the, prison, I should say, for the rest of their life. I mean, one guy was armed robbery, didn't kill anybody, but he had to spend like 40 or 50 years. And, I mean, come on. Really? What do you think that guy was probably... This is why I don't like talking about it, but here we go. I gotta be honest. What do you think that guy was robbing somebody for? You think either A, he was that nice guy where, he was just trying to put food on the table for his kids? No, that wasn't it. It was drugs. Oh, that's his fault. He was on drugs. Well, in a way, fuck you. That's bullshit. And I'm not saying what he did and it is right, but what I'm saying is, this fucking country, this world is so backwards ass ran that how do you think the drugs get in the country? What do you think, they just magically appear in your dealer's hand? Yeah, it's probably all bullshit. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, if I'm not doing a podcast next week, it's probably because I'm buried in some kind of oil drum or something. I'm not saying they're bad people. Maybe they're good people. Maybe I have a listener out there who's like a drug cartel, and he's just like, that Jimmy Jameson coming on, he good. Oh, he fucking mentioned me now. Oh, motherfucker. I don't know how they talk, actually. I know a better impression, but I actually kind of wet myself when I was like, oh my god, did I just say all that? And I'm gonna publish it? I'm fucking crazy. Number 3. I'm such a fucking retard. Oh my god. Honestly, I don't know anything about that shit. I only learned all that shit off of TV and what, people risk their lives like reporters and journalists to try to go change the world. But what the fuck do I know? I'm just a stupid ass with a mic in front of them. Anyway, number 3. People and where does trash go? Where does your trash go? And this is funny. I wrote this down yesterday and I was watching YouTube today while I was doing my daily morning routines. I got up at 6 today for some reason. I was like in a comatose state, and I'm like, why am I getting up? What am I doing? You know? So anyway, it's too early. I get up, put on YouTube, and I was watching Chappelle or somebody. Fuck was it? It was Chappelle or Carl, one of them, because usually they're like one of the two that I always watch. And they were talking about trash and like, where does it go? Oh yeah, it's Carlin. He goes, well, I recycle, I don't pollute. Well, yeah, you do. You throw your trash out. And I've talked about this in recent shows, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but I really do think in the future, maybe 50 years, we're going to have a big fucking slingshot. Can you just picture this? And or a rocket or some sort, and it's just gonna, I don't know. We're just gonna sling, the rocket would be like slingshot, but not like your ordinary slingshot, like you pull back and let it loose. Like it would be rocket, like, I'm trying to think of the word, propulsionated, whatever the fuck it is. I'm not a scientist, I'm a madman. Where the rockets were, whatever the fuck, and the rockets red cliff. Anyway, so the fucking trash would just be shot into space. That's, my only solution. Or we can just keep burying it and throw it in the ocean, and hopefully it won't bother us, this generation. Got a guy probably with a pen and paper like, yeah, we got about, let's say, we got about 13 years before, we start to really notice, ozone layer, yeah. That's still a big problem. We'll just keep it as a mystery and let people forget about it. We gotta stop having these celebrities get on Netflix and Amazon and doing documentary about the Earth and how it's fucking the planet up. That would be helpful. Anyway, I got a design here for a slingshot into space. I heard it on this podcast. Weirdly enough. Anyway, moving on. YouTube. Over 1,500 channels on what to watch. Well, if I had something to watch, I wouldn't be on this channel. Okay, so let me explain that. YouTube. Oh, I want to know how to make a podcast. I want to know how to do this. I want to know how to do that. I want to know how to do this. You go on YouTube, you say, YouTube, you know, whatever, you'll say, how to start a podcast, how to make money. This was actually just brought up today in one of the anchor groups. So if you're hearing this is for you too. I want to know how to make money on a podcast, blah, blah, blah. You get about, 1,300 channels to tell you how to do it on YouTube. Okay? 1,500 channels, what I have written down. I was estimating, ballparking, 1,500. You can, seriously go ahead and do the real facts on this and go see how many channels there is for doing something. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be podcast. It could be, bicycle riding, how to build a ramp, how to make your own coffee, how to this, how to that, how to this, how to be better at life. How to breathe right, how to think straight, how to get through your day without being angry, how to get through your day with Tourette's, ADHD, and where you'll be 5 years, 1 year from now. There's so many of these shows on, okay? Well, the reason I wrote this down, YouTube, over 1,500 channels on what to watch. Well, if I had something to watch, I wouldn't be on this channel. But why? That was my question. Short attention spans. That's the answer. That wraps all that shit up. Short attention spans. What happens when you go on YouTube? 90% of you will go on YouTube for one thing, and when you leave 17 hours later, you'll be like, the fuck did I get on here for? And, that's my bit on YouTube and how everybody goes down the hole. So, where I was going with this is, if you want to learn how to do something, Wikipedia, encyclopedia, pick up a fucking book. If you don't know how to read good like me, you guys heard me try to read shit, I might be able to, I would have to do some practice, like, For instance, today's weather's forecast is going to be 39 degrees. High. Low is going to be 29 degrees. Make sure you're wearing a jacket out there. It's going to be chilly. Something like that. You know what I mean? But in that tone. The fuck was I going with this? Be right back with number 5, 6, 7, and 8 life lessons. And then I can get the hell off of this and back on to something that matters. Jimmy James saying, stay right there. And here we go. What's up? So, I haven't touched any podcasting in almost a day. Wow. Maria Humphreys, huge honor to be, mentioned by you, and also to have a show that you did named after me. The name of the show, well, the name of her show is Strong Body, Strong Soul. It's amazing. But then she hit me out of the blue with Holiday Bonus with Jimmy James. All because I left her 2 messages. And she touches on a lot of stuff that, you know, that I've talked about and I still want to get to. The real cool part about all this, it's from a woman's perspective. So you're getting it from that perspective. Now, you know, last night I messed around and I put, you know, this is not a good lesson for like one of my shows. And I just want to show people like not a good lesson, because the start of us and Life Lessons Part 1, that I was supposed to do that today for tomorrow, Wednesday. And then I just was like, you know what? I'm going to go off the wall batshit crazy, because that's what helps me. And I kind of got into that a little bit, but then today was another avalanche of thank yous and, you know, just nothing but good vibes. And, I'm just taking these couple of minutes to say, I've said thank you so much. I think, I'm gonna have to invent a new word, because I've said it so much. Just to give you guys an idea, I like to do a lot of wordplay and stuff. So like Audio Lab, I text to speech, because I can't rap. So sometimes me doing that for like poems, before there was any digital stuff, I used to write it down on pen and paper. That's the stuff that you guys probably see if you're young, probably collecting dust somewhere. But yeah, anyway, getting a little off topic there. I mean, I love writing poems down. I've added a couple of them in. They're something that's personal to me. But then I started writing more about like what's going on in today's world, and I try to do that with Dear to You letter. It's tough because I have to rap every goddamn thing and rhyme every goddamn thing, and I'm not an artist like that. And as you heard on this show, you heard Dax, like he just dropped a new single. That dude's he's inspiring. And I talked about him a little bit before, but Dax, that's D-A-X, he you know, a lot of people on YouTube, like, you'll say something, mention or comment or whatever, and half of them don't like it. He, like, you know, you could heart things on YouTube, so that means, like, he has to be, I'm hoping he's in charge of that. So that's the one thing I wanted to get into, like, people like that, and like people like who's been podcasting for a while, like Maria Humphreys, with her show Strong Body, Strong Soul, okay? And she is just amazing at what she does. And I remember I went on Spotify on Xbox and I had to scroll down to the bottom. Like, let me go to her first episode. That probably took like 5 minutes. Well, 2 minutes to scroll all the way down because she's done so many episodes. Now, some are like an hour long. Some are 11 minutes, 13 minutes. I'm just looking random ones here, like 19 minutes, 20 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter. Your episode could be X amount of minutes. It could be 5 hours long. You could cut it up in parts. You know, some people do different art, you know, for each of their episodes. You see me, if you go to any of my shows, I do different art forms of the show, like for the Death Theory, which I'm still working on. It's such a pain in the ass to work on, especially with all this going on. But people, you could do that. And then you get, I'm in the mix right now. So, like, to juggle this all into one spot and tell you guys what I'm going through, which is not a bad thing. It's just, there's so many people, podcasters, who want to say, hey, what's up, talk, or just really just, hey, I have a show, and they want to be heard. And Marie kind of got onto that. She kind of hit the nail on the head with that on that last little bonus thing she put in there, which I thought was amazing. You know, I've done other podcasts like with Suede and stuff, and I've had my name mentioned on, this would be the third show, but Holiday Bonus with Jimmy James. I thought it was funny. And I love her accent, by the way. Awesome accent, because I had my headphones on as I'm writing stuff down for like ideas, and I was listening to her episodes. I'm up to like 6 or 7 or 8. I don't know where I am yet. I would have to scroll down. And then there's other people's episodes that just came out and I haven't gotten a chance to get around to. Plus, I was talking to somebody about you know, something more serious about mental. I'm sorry, not mental. It's me. I'm the mental one. Some physical illnesses that they're dealing with, and my heart went right out to them. You know, because usually when you get this, this is just a side note, you get a lot of this where people will hit you up and then they'll say, hey, I'm from a poor country, yada, 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 can you send me money? And that's not what this was about at all. So, and I'm not going to say this person's name. It's not about that, but, it's about somebody, a stranger, just opening up to me, that, you know, and then to apologize and say sorry, you know, for crying on your shoulder or telling you this. You don't have to be sorry. I mean, I might not know you intimately, or you might not be immediate family, but we're all connected. And that's the part where I don't really joke around with. So, you know, I know there's a lot more I want to get in. It's just, there's so much in front of me that I want to talk about and really get into these. This is a life lesson, or this is a good lesson compared to my last night rant and raving. So, if I haven't got to you, I'm sorry, but eventually I will. I'm sure I will. I'm looking to do 2 things. Well, 3 things. Becoming a guest, also having a guest, and doing a little bit of live stuff. And the only place that I like so far is Castbox. I tried Twitter, but I'm not really big on that just right now. I like Castbox because I've already done 2 of them. And I don't know if I want to have the option where people can phone in and talk to me, because if that happens, then I'll start to lose attention to the people that might be asking questions. I'm going to be really getting into this because there's a lot of stuff that I haven't even gotten to yet. Oh, helicopter flying by. So that's going to be a lot for next year. And for that person who is struggling with that physical illness, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, well, I wish you nothing but the best and all that. Words can only take it so far. I think you know personally deep down that I am feeling for you. I cannot even begin, not even to begin to understand the pain you're going through. I did tell you, though, I went through it with family members. So I understand what that scenario or what your life might be like right now. But, as far as the sickness or whatever else that you're feeling, I'm sorry, but I can't express it with words. And instead of saying, I wish you the best, which, obviously I think a lot of people just do automatically, I'm going to say, get your ass better. Mentally, in your soul, you gotta feel it. Fight, 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 no matter what. And after this, I'll tell you something that I never told anybody before. So coming up will be the story. I might have mentioned it, but I don't think I told the whole thing. And just fight. Fight and don't give up. And right now, this is Jimmy James saying, stick right there, I'll be right back to give you a story and a real life lesson. Okay, so sharing my story, I had a niece who passed away at 6 years old. She passed away of pulmonary hypertension. Come to think about it, I did talk about this before. She went through pain that I don't think a grown man or grown woman, it doesn't matter. I mean, just testosterone-wise, as a grown man, would be bitching and moaning compared to a 6-year-old little girl who went through the pain she did. And pulmonary hypertension, if you don't know what that is when your lungs and your heart grow too big for, I guess your age. I'm not an expert on it, but ultimately, she had to have not one, but 2 lung transplants. And, they said you get a year to 5 years. And that was 20 years almost ago in science. With 2 lung transplants, I don't even think you get, it's about the same amount of time. You're not going to live that very long, especially as a 6-year-old. So that was my story, just sharing that part with you guys, and I was right there the whole time. And in the spiritual sense, she's with me every second of the day. She was my niece, Ashley. I always forget her middle name because her mother was Marie, and Ashley Ann. Ashley, I know you're here, and I know you're with me, with my sister, uncle, grandfather. I feel them every day. So that's my story of my niece, Ashley Ann O'Hara. Way too young.
Here's something I'd like to share. I do not have TikTok, but I want to share this for something as simple as a podcast from Maria Humphreys.
Hey Maria, my friend, positive vibes here. How are you doing? Hope all is well with you, my friend. I know we stay connected on Instagram and Twitter, which I'm grateful for. Just going through some notifications here and working on my podcast and my station content. And just listen to your trailer, my friend. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the positive energy that you put out to the world. You know, how you keep moving forward and you're just doing your thing. You're just trying. You're just connecting. You're just doing it all, right? And I say it to so many people just by sharing your story, whatever that is at this moment, whatever you want to put out to the world. It's helped me in so many ways, and it must be helping so many other people. So, again, I just want to leave this message for you, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'm really, really looking forward to connecting with you soon.
This is what I'm talking about. Now, okay, to add a flag there. That's what I'm talking about. The only social app I don't use is TikTok. I have Instagram and Twitter and which one am I? Instagram, Twitter. God, I gotta really get my stuff together. I've Reddit and Facebook, obviously. I really just started messing around with What's Up app. Um, because I really did try to boost my show up on Facebook. They had like a thing where you could boost it up, and I don't know if it's worth it or if I did get more listeners. I mean, I tried it, I think once or twice, but to each his own. But getting away from what I'm actually trying to say here is that it doesn't matter what you're talking about or what the topic is. It could really help somebody out there. And you guys know I've been talking about this for the last, well, since pretty much the start of me, but for the last week, I've been really getting into this. Let's get out there and help other podcasters grow. I'm not saying I'm the first person to do this. Listening to Maria right now, which is Strong Body, Strong Soul. Origin. It's the Origin show, and right now I'm up to episode 3. There's 2 minutes left. Let's talk about energy, and then I'm going on to first live interview. So that's where I'm up to. I mean, she has a ton of episodes, and she is what I would call, believe it or not, it's my I always forget to turn these things off. That's what I would call. I don't know how many episodes she has in total, but she's definitely up to the level 5 status, or level 2 status when I was doing the levels. What makes a podcaster? What makes you a podcaster? And I talked about this. So, if this is the first time you're hearing about it, I may like this little level list. This was mostly for me, but if you want to use it, I think that's great. At first, I was all over the place, so I had to redo it. I think she's an elite podcaster. I don't know if she has over 1,000 episodes yet, but that's a level 2. Elite is very hard to get into. That's 100 episodes plus, and they gotta be 100 episodes of at least 30 minutes or more to count as an episode. You might not need to do that with every episode. Some people do 5 minutes shows, okay? So then you can accumulate whatever amount of shows add up to 30 minutes, and then that would be one episode. So something like that you could do. I'm just now in the, which we call, okay, here's this 6 is beginner, novice, and then there's a general podcast or somebody who just generally podcast, and then there's a advanced podcaster. That's 60 to 80 episodes, same kind of thing. And then there's elite, which is 100 episodes of 30 minutes plus. I don't even know if I'm there yet. She is 1,000% there. And then when you get the Legend podcast, this is, like I said, this is just for me. When you hit Legend podcast, that's 1,000 episodes. Yeah. You're probably going to have a lot of people listening to you and stuff like that. So, all right, I want to get off of Anchor, and I want to read real quick here. I just got a message. This is public. The episode I released yesterday is horrific on audio quality, but I was kind of proud of the holiday perspective So I released it anyway. And then she has like a little this thing's it was an I can't just damn, you know what it is? It's my loading. It keeps my battery. I need a new charger. Let me say that again. I was kind of proud of the holiday perspective, so I released anyway. It was an experiment with moving audio from Clubhouse into Anchor. I've been active on Clubhouse lately. Lots of podcast chats happening, but I'm mainly about helping to make the world a better place. God bless you. It's not naive to believe your energy can make a difference. Everyone does not need to hear us, but we need to keep pushing buttons, literally and figuratively, to get to the right people. This is amazing. See, you think you're alone. I'm what I'm going to type here live to her in this. So that is to Maria Humphreys. That's what she said, and I am now sending that back in. If you guys want to know what this is about, this is on Facebook groups. I'm getting so many notifications. It's a little difficult for me to keep up with everybody. And I am that type of person where, okay, I have to give somebody 100% of my attention. All right? So with that being said, I want to get off of Anchor because I don't want to keep talking on Anchor. I think the audio's crap, and that's literally what she was talking about. It drives me nuts knowing that I'm doing poor audio unless I'm letting you hear something, of that. And I wanted to also say I was getting into right now I'm in the 2 episodes. I'm into This Is Not For You. I'm still in the first episode, about halfway through. I forget the name of the movie they were talking about. Definitely a Disney movie. And I like how they're doing their perspective on it. And also now Maria Humphreys. I can only listen to one podcast at a time, but I do have time in between when I'm doing stuff like this. So let me get off this so I can jump on to the next topic and so on. So here we go. This is Jimmy James saying we'll be right back, and thank you once again, Maria Humphreys and everybody else that I just can't name. I'll be here all day, but I did the Start of Us and Life Lessons, which, yeah, by the way, on Life Lessons, when I did that at night, I was just so angry and I was flipping out. And I wasn't even going to publish it. And I was like, you know what, let me just publish it because sometimes that's how I want to be on Anchor or podcast. So you should be any way you feel. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I'll be right back right after this.
On to the next life lesson. Number 5. You probably forgot what the fuck I'm talking about. You probably did. Don't lie. You probably have to go back and be like, what the fuck was he just talking about? I don't even remember. And I have a list in front of me. Whatever I was just talking about, like, I have to go back and listen sometimes when it's uploading. Or I don't have to. I try not to. But, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm going to put this out. And I do. So that leads me to number 6. We all have issues. Stop thinking you can change. I'm sorry. Let me read that again because I don't know my own handwriting. We all have issues. Stop thinking you have to change people. Okay? Change comes from within. No matter what you say. It's like that old saying, you could lead a horse to water and all that shit, but you would probably not be able to get him to drink that water unless you have a long conversation about what that water may or may not do. But don't dunk his head in. I think that's the way the saying goes, exactly word for word. No, that is number 6 though, seriously. Stop trying to change people. Okay? I never, ever once said in my show, ever, I am trying to change you or something. So let's skip that. I've always said, by the way, I just wanted to help reach at least one person. And now I know that I have achieved that goal. I've set myself to something bigger. Number 7. I don't know. This was like, I don't know if this is a life lesson. This is all, it's a next door people. Neighbors. Your neighbors. I was like, how do you spell neighbors? I'm like, I'll just put next door people. Next door people. Next door people. Like, I would say I'm from the city, you know, even when I was in the suburbs for a little while, like, you don't really know your neighbors, you know, like they could be mass murderers. They could be, you know, just people who are getting through the day, J-O-B, just over broke, 9 to 5 kind of working it out. Sometimes you might be connected to a house. Sometimes you might live in a single home. That's when houses aren't connected to each other. I actually threw that in an old 911 skit, and I did not know. It was the very first skit, I believe, where that's homes with a home. That's house with an H. You mean you in a home that are connected to other homes? Like, I don't know where that came from, and I loved it. And this will get on to the next part. Like, but your next door neighbors, what kind of relationship you have with them? Do you say hello when you go outside? Do you hate your neighbors? On both my sides, I am currently in a row houses. I mean, it's not like the city. I'm like right outside the city. This is Northeast Philly, by the way, so if you, like, Google map the area, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, there are, right around the corner, there's homes that are single houses. Well, you could hear more when you are in a row home, houses that are connected to other houses, and you might just be like, wow, I never thought they were that type of people. And then you think to yourself, holy fuck, they could hear me too, just like I can hear them. So all the times I was screaming, oh, I wish that, you know, I was going to say something really X-rated there, but I pulled myself back, pulled myself off that topic. Pun within puns are fun. But anyway, I just kind of got me thinking that's pretty funny. Like, oh, I can hear him scream, oh my god, this is fucking great, this is crazy. Then you're in there and you're like listening and you're all into it, and like weeks in you're just like, it's just them. Like, it doesn't even, you know, everybody has problems. But when you're outside and you're in public area with that neighbor, I've had problems with neighbors in the past. I've had good neighbors, and then we became worse enemies. All over stupid shit. Mostly, I'm gonna say ignorance on my part from me being young. Okay? But to give you a quick reference, what I mean by this, the neighbor that we were friends for a while and then we weren't friends anymore over something that was misunderstood because I was on a phone call outside at the middle of the night, which was my fault. 1000%. It was like 12 o'clock. I can't remember, but, you know, they were sleeping. I was on a call. I was saying something to my pops about, it sounded very suspicious, like there was drug activity, but I was mostly just talking about his VA hospital visit and the drugs that he was getting, you know, for his, he has, nerve damage. He was in, you know, the 82nd Airborne, and I'll get into that with him in another podcast. I wanted to talk to him about that. And, anyway, because I do want to get into that aspect. There's not a lot of people around that's been in the 82nd Airborne or in their 60s that have that experience of jumping out of planes. So anyway, getting back to the story. I was good friends with this guy. We'll just call him Guy. So my neighbor Guy would just, the next day, we were friends up until, to my knowledge, this point. And then he comes out, we're walking his kid to school and, to the bus. Walk to the bus and wait, kids to leave, blah, blah, blah. I sat there and I said, could I bum a cigarette off you? Just, I only live right down the street. So I could bum a cigarette. And he said, yeah, he was kind of weird about it. And I'm like, what's up with you, Guy? Like, that was weird. Like, never had a problem. And I really don't have people in my life that I disliked. There's maybe 2 people that I can think of off the top of my head that I really don't like. He became one of those people. All because he automatically judged me after years of knowing me. I would say at least 3 years of knowing me. And I knew the previous neighbors who used to live there, never had a problem with them. Matter of fact, saved the guy's brother from a fire that was started in the house. I came out and I was up at night and there was smoke. He left something on the oven, passed out. He was a hard worker, passed out. Shit happens, Saved him. I was that kind of person, okay? Just like I told you about the car accident that happened in front of my house. Getting off topic, but getting back to what kind of person I would like to be as I grow. And this guy's older than me. I'm in my early 20s, He's in his 30s, late 30s. And he really went fucking mental, like a mental case. For instance, so he thinks I'm like this drug pusher and all this and whatever, I guess, because of this. Now, as far as drugs go, I already told you guys this story. The worst I've ever did was ecstasy when I was 18. I never did crack. I never did heroin. I never did anything big. I never did coke. Never did, I don't even drink. Alcohol. But I will. If I'm like at a bar, I'll drink. No problem. No problem. I don't really like beer. Anyway, so, I kind of told him, this is like before anything crazy happened. I'm like, wow, like this is way misunderstood. I don't understand. I am so sorry that I woke you up. That was 1000% on me. I was so sorry. But things got weird. He would start saying things, mentioning things under his breath, but loud enough for me to hear him. And I'm like, wow. And on the other side, I was in a single home. On the other side, I had a neighbor who was doing drugs. And I talked about this before, how I started doing Percocets. Because I had a back injury at work, and I was like, oh, I want perks for my back. I didn't say that. The doctor gave them to me, and then that's how I started getting on those. I was in my 20s. I was stupid. I really did have a back injury, so I took them. I was on unemployment one time in my whole life. So I hung out with him sometimes. So me hanging out with him made it look more worse, I guess, in his mind. But the weird shit he did, just giving you one story and that is it. One time, his neighbor, so if you picture yourself, okay, my drug neighbor who was home all the time was to the left. The neighbor Guy, who I got in a fight with, was to my right. Well, Guy's neighbor to the right of him, they were selling their house and the people asked me to, help them trim their lawn, do stuff like that, whatever. So I started doing all that type of shit, trimming their yard work, doing all that. And out of nowhere one day, I've noticed him giving me weird looks and saying things. I just let it go. I'm like, dude, I'm just letting this shit go. Okay? He would say and by the way, for the longest time, I thought he was an ex-cop. That turned out not to be true. This is how fucking crazy it is. And this is why I'm mentioning your neighbors. You never know who they are. There's a lot that I don't want to say because, like, hey, this is this person's life. I don't know where he is in his life at the moment. So I don't want to get into too much of this. And this was a long time ago. And I do not hate him anymore. I just still find the whole situation very weird. Not to mention, there was other people in his household that probably had things to say. Now, before any of that happened, before I get into the midst of that story of what really happened, and this is going to get pretty crazy, remember, I was invited into the home with the children, wife, stuff like that. Nothing, normal stuff. Okay, food. Every time he would come out and have a cigarette, before all this happened, he would knock on my door, want to have a cigarette. Yeah, cool. We sat, we bullshitted. That was it. I thought he was like a cool type of character. My kind of friend, my kind of guy. So, guy, one day, I am trimming a bush. I have a little hacksaw and trimmers and a trash can next to me. You can see clearly I'm trimming the bush. My back is to Guy's house. So, also I have I have a radio on. It wasn't really loud or anything. It was daytime, not bothering anybody. This is what I hear. Put the fuck was I holding the shears? Put the shears down. But I didn't hear clearly in my head. And I'm like, what? I'm like thinking, I'm looking around like somebody talking to me, but I never turned around at this point. And I'm we're in the suburbs. So I'm like, put the shears down. What the fuck? I turn around and I got a gun at my fucking face, but within 10 feet. It's a cop. So this cop is literally pointing a gun at me. I turn around and I'm like, what? Not from the city, so like this is not remotely surprising to me. This is probably the only time that I had a gun pointed at me though, out of a bullshit thing. What happened was, to make this story really short, is that Guy called the cops, said that I was out there threatening his life, and I had a knife and shears, and he was scared to go out there. In the meantime, I did say he was a quote-unquote ex-cop, which he was not, which I found out from the cops, and he had guns, which assuming he did, because I did see that. So, which didn't make sense to me after the cop, by the way, I'll give you the end of the story. So the cop, realizes I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And just because you're a cop, I don't give a fuck if you have a gun to me or not. I'm not going to talk to you any differently than if you had, just being disrespectful. So I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, what? So I put the shears down. I did what the cop asked. I'm like, what are you pointing? I said, first thing I said was, what the fuck are you pointing a gun at me for? Are you fucking stupid? That's what I said to the cop holding the gun. And he goes, then he starts to lower it. And he goes, all right, walk away from the shears. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do? Pick them up and throw them at you before you can get a gun up and shoot me? What are you thinking? I'm talking to the cop like this. This is the way I am. I've always been like this. I'm like, what do you think? I'm going to grab the shears? Fucking ninja style? I remember saying something about being a ninja or something. Ninja style and throw them at you before you fly. What am I, faster than a bullet? I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you pointing a fucking gun at me? So then I think this cop, and this is before I knew any parts of the story, and this cop only knew what he heard, starts to lower the gun. He's like, just come over here. I don't quite understand. So I found that he called the cops and said that, I threatened his life and all this shit. This guy, I'm threatening his life, supposedly ex-cop, has a gun. I have shears. Maybe a knife or whatever to cut, not knife, like the little shears. I had big shears and the little shears that trim the hedges or whatever. All this with a bush that I'm doing turned into all this. And this is just one story. This is why I say, and I use the word hate. I hated this guy because of what he said and how he lied. Now, I was an honest guy. So after all this is done, I'm sitting with 10 cops and we're just joking around. So I'm like, this dude's a fucking, I don't know. I don't know. This dude's a fucking nut job. I don't know. He's nuts. I'm going to go in, but I'm going to first finish up that bush and then blah, blah, blah. And then that's it. So I was like, And then I said something funny. I had the cops laughing, blah, blah, blah. That's the way it is. I think that's what pisses people off the most. I kind of figured that out as I got older too. When you have that personality that draws people in, you're automatically, I'm not going to say automatically. Some people automatically will just not like you. The thing is, I never had that problem because I was always like that with everybody. And I feel terrible if I can't give you my full attention. And I also feel blessed, and I feel like I'm not deserving sometimes of people's attention or love. Like when I have people put their voice, my voice message on a podcast, as simple as that. Like with Maria Humphreys and how she did that and how she said about what I was talking about, how that got through to her was like really just wow. And the power of words. If you really do mean what you're saying from your soul, I would say from the heart, but I believe it comes from deeper than that. Something that is, there's not words that are invented yet to tell you. So, sorry about that. I just kind of got not a little emotional. I actually was running out of breath. No, but, you know, when you're saying that from somebody, to somebody from, you know, the soul, and they could feel that you mean it, and you're genuine in what you're saying, and you're authentic. That's all that matters. So, that's what, when I was saying how I was making the cops laugh, well, that's going to be number 8 coming up next. How to be funny without trying. Well, that's tough to explain, but I'll do my best on this last part of life lessons, or whatever the hell I'm calling it. Be right back after this with the last part, and then some goofy stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my attempt at humor. So humor me while I try to humor you. And at the end of this, I'll have a special throwback to one of my legendary comedians, George Carlin. But before I get into that, I want to spend 1 or 2 minutes, no more, because I don't feel like uploading, extracting. Fascinating stuff. So, George Carlin, okay? One of his stand-up specials was on the Jimmy Dean Show. The Jimmy Dean, D-E-A-N show, which is weird because I didn't know who Jimmy Dean was, and until I started doing podcasting. So one time I was typing in my show on Bing or fucking Google, and I typed in the Jimmy James. You know, I came up because I put my name in correctly, but it says, did you mean Jimmy Dean? And then I went and I looked it up. I'm like, oh, this dude was a famous, basically like a Johnny Carson, or, you know, Jay Leno. Hi, folks, Jay Leno. Sorry, I am a little, feels like I just swallowed the desert. So just give me a second. I'm going to grab a sip here. So Jimmy Dean. And then you got Jimmy James. And there's a lot of them. But there's really like 2... wow. There's really like 2 famous. The Jimmy something and other show. And that was Jimmy Dean. And there was also an artist. I don't really know much about that. So getting back into George Carlin. He did stand up back in 1965 on tape. Before that, he did a little bit of radio. You can look this up anywhere. This is more for anybody's enthusiasm, if they already know, or a little bit of nostalgia, or if you're younger and you don't know who he is, look him the fuck up. Anyway, and then I just thought really quickly, spend another minute on this because I'll let you hear it after this little thing I'm going to do. Think about how long this great comedian has been around. Okay, he started back, the exact date I don't know. I could easily look that up myself. I was trying to find out, but you figure in the 50s, probably practicing, he did tell the story of how he would go on to, he would stand around and do like, comedy bits in the neighborhood or whatever. So, let's say his first appearance that I know of is 1964, 1965 on the Jimmy Dean Show. Okay, now let's do this. 75, okay, 75, 1975, 1985. Right off the bat, that's 20 years. I was born in 82. That's 20 years of him doing comedy, and I was only 3 years old. 20 years plus. So he was doing comedy longer than I was born. And I was only 3 at 85 since he did the Jimmy Dean Show. At 1995, he did one other famous show in New York. You guys know what I'm talking about. One of his best performances probably ever. One of, out of 3 of that I can think off of the top of my head. Then we go to 2005, and then 2015, okay? We'll stop there. How many years is that? 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015. That's 50 years plus. 50 years plus of comedy. Comedy. This guy was the definition of comedy. So if you want to learn how to be funny, go watch him. From his first skits and bits, which I really can't even say that his shit was skits or a bit, because he spoke the truth. And that's what I was saying earlier about how I would sit back and laugh at it, but also really think like, wow, that is so fucking true. It's not funny, but it is funny. And then out of respect of his name, became some of the greatest ever legends out there, which I have already named plenty of times. So I hope that gives you an idea how to be funny, and it's hard to explain, but if you feel like you are in that world of like a TV series show called Crashing, check that out. That might be up your alley. Also watch all the greats. But seriously, start with Carl and then go with him. Okay? So enjoy this little skit I put together for you for JC. Jesus Christ, I'm going nuts. GC. Initials GC, George Carl. From his earliest stuff I could find. It's not going to be in the greatest quality, but hey. This is my Christmas gift to you, to find some of this shit and put it on. So, that is what I was getting onto, is I'm doing this little bit of George Carlin. And then I am out, folks. And then, also one more thing. I was trying to do a story of how to be funny, and I was trying to do like a story in my head in that moment. I really was, and I just had to stop. Actually, a buddy of mine came here, Chris. Shout out to Chris. What's up? Thanks if you're listening. And I had to stop it right at near the end of it. So I didn't get to finish it, but it's on there. Hey, I mess up. I'm not perfect. That's why I have blooper reels. All right, so on with the rest of this. Turn it up for George Carlin. And like always, take care of yourselves and one another. And a much appreciated thank you to everybody. Maria Humphreys, thank you for putting me on one of your episodes as a highlighted holiday bonus with Jimmy James. Amazing. Thank you. Take care. And peace out. Yay!
Tell you the worst thing you can say about a comedian introducing him is to say he's very, very funny. But that's exactly what I'm going to say about the guy that I'm about to introduce. I met him for the first time in the offices of the writers on our television show. And he doesn't look like a comedian, but he is a funny, funny man. And we have just had much fun. He's the only guy that gets the guys out behind the camera. And that's why we get some bad shots while he's working, friends. Say hello to George Carlin, will you, please? You know, it's a nice thing for the people to come out and join us here in the theater, and they're most enthusiastic, and they're very generous with their applause and laughter. But they miss something when they're here.
What's that?
They don't get to see the evening news when they come out to visit the show. And it's really, you know, they're not quite so well informed as they would have been had they stayed home and watched Brinkley Hentley. And I just thought it would be nice, and I know that you were in radio for a while, right?
Yes.
I thought it would be nice if perhaps you could kind of fill the folks in on the happenings.
I think you're lucky.
Yes?
Just happen to have a copy of
Would
the
you believe
Evening
that,
News
friends?
here.
Would you believe that? I say, a copy of the Evening News.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Now, here with the news is Bill Bulletin. Good evening, once again. The big hand is on the 5, the little hand is on the 6, and it's time for the 11 o'clock report. First of all, the headlines. Russia and the United States are at war. Missiles have been fired by both sides. Moscow, New York, and London are in flames. Details on these and other stories in just a moment. After this word about your breath.
Say, nurse, what was the name of that good-tasting red mouthwash the dentist gave me?
Oh, that was Muscatel. He's a wino. Now back to the news. Well, another senseless killing today as police discovered the body of Irving Senseless lying in his home. Mr. Senseless was charged with loitering, and his wife was charged with littering. In labor news today, longshoremen walked off the piers. Rescue operations are continuing. News from the film capital. Hollywood is in the news tonight as another sensational divorce trial comes to an end. International film star, sex symbol Levitra Schwartz was today awarded a divorce from her actor, singer, coal miner husband, Sid Bad Guy. The divorce was held up pending the legality of the couple's Peruvian marriage following her Mexican divorce from a Chinese cat. It's the third divorce for the 15-year-old film queen. For Sid, it's his 14th. Custody of the children went to Sid. This makes 117 children. Despite the several shooting incidents, it had been considered an ideal marriage. Now, here's Biff Burns with the sports news. Good evening, sport fans. Biff Burns here in the Biff Burns Sportlight Spotlight, spotlighting sports in the Sportlight Spotlight. First of all, a baseball trade. The San Francisco Giants today traded outfielder Willie Mays to the New York Mets in exchange for the entire Mets team. The Giants will also get 300 minor league players to be named later, $100,000 in cash, 2 Eskimos, and a kangaroo. Today's football, Texas 28, Texas Tech 14, Texas State Teachers 41, East Texas State Teachers 13, Northeast Texas State South Teachers College 21, and Southeast Texas, the other Cats had 20. Here's a surprise, fans. Army 26, Vassar nothing. Now, it was a little closer than it looked. The Mexican hockey score. Mexican hockey scores, Matamoros 21, Yucatan 19. Sounds like a real Donnybrook. Or whatever they call it down in Mexico. Now, quickly the basketball scores. We are running late. 125 to 113, 131 to 100. And in a real close one, 99 to 98. That's it. Here's a partial score, Cincinnati 4. That wraps it up sports-wise. So long from Biff Burns. We turn you over now for your weather to Al Sleet, the hippy-dippy weatherman.
Hey, baby, what's happening?
Al Fleet here, your hippy-dippy weatherman with all the hippy-dippy weather. First of all, the pollen count from Long Island Jewish Hospital. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you'll take a look at our weather map over here, you'll notice that this warm front extends from Virginia to Tennessee with all the love that's in it. Okay, the radar's picking up a line of thunder showers from Utica, New York to Middletown. However, the radar is also picking up a squadron of Russian ICBM, so I wouldn't sweat the thunder showers. Tonight's low, 25 degrees. Tomorrow's high whenever I get up. Forecast is partly fair and breezy, occasionally lightly mild and hot, with partly cloudy higher inland, gusting up to 50 miles an hour. There will be no weather tomorrow in Philadelphia at all. That's it from Al Fleet to Hippy Dippy.
Alright, guys, that was George Carlin on the Jimmy Dean Show. Just wanted to give you that treat. Also, a little bonus coming up. So I just wanted to jump to... Oops, sorry about that. I just wanted to jump to 1965. 1965 to one of his more closer to us, but closer to 1965. So I would say right about in the middle. Here's George Carlin on the NRA.
Thank you very much. There are some more people with missing chromosomes who ought to be thrown screaming from a helicopter. Gun enthusiasts, you know? Oh, yeah, I'm a gun enthusiast. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm a blowjob enthusiast. You want to see me shoot? Cock this and I'll discharge a load for you. And I'm not against guns. I'm not one of those mindless Hollywood cocksuckers. I'm not against guns. I'm not against bullets. I'm not even against people shooting each other. Shit, shooting somebody's part of the American dream. I don't care who it is. Parents, teachers, kids, fuck them. Let them get shot. Doesn't bother me. But speaking of mindless Hollywood cocksuckers, before Charlton Heston became president of these dickless lunatics in the NRA, they had a different guy. He's still one of their major spokesmen. His name is Wayne LaPierre. What kind of a name for a gun nut is Wayne LaPierre? Doesn't this sound a little fruity to you? Hi, I'm Wayne. I'm a gun person. Bang, bang. You know what this prick's name ought to be? Biff Webster. Spud Crowley, a man's name, Chuck Steak.
And last but not least, George Carlin, full of shit, nuts, or stupid? Let's find out.
Well, I know some people don't like you to talk about those things. I know that. Some people don't like you to mention certain things. Some people don't want you to say this. Some people don't want you to say that. Some people think if you mention some things, they might happen. Some people are really fucking stupid. Did you ever notice that? How many really stupid people you run into during the day? God damn, there's a lot of stupid bastards walking around. Carry a little pad and pencil with you. You wind up with 30 or 40 names by the end of the day. Look at it this way. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that. And it doesn't take you very long to spot one of them, does it? Take you about 8 seconds. You'll be listening to some guy. You say, this guy is fucking stupid. Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're full of shit. That doesn't take very long to spot either, does it? Take you about the same amount of time. You'll be listening to some guy and say, well, he's fairly intelligent. He's full of shit. Then there are some people, they're not stupid, they're not full of shit, they're fucking nuts. Dan Quayle is all three. All three. Stupid, full of shit, and fucking nuts.
This is Jimmy James saying have a great holiday. Crazy, I go crazy, fucking shit. This is me putting on my headset, SteelSeries X, Arctic 7's, 9, no, it's a 7. 7's supposed to be better. Here we go. Let's see if you can tell the difference from this to that. Just like that, magically. One jack, one plug will get you where you want to be, accordingly, professionally. I learned these words in the 4th grade, apparently, and I'm putting them together like I'm some kind of master. Oh, I could keep going on. But then I'll be losing the crowd of witches podcasting. When will I figure out that I am retarded? Semi-retarded. I say that word lightly, but also strongly. To me, podcasting is everlasting. I really do sound better when I put words together in Audiolab Pro, twist them up. You never know what you're gonna get, like Forrest Gump said in that movie quote. As Forrest Gump sitting on a bench with a black lady who did not look any which way like, why is this white man talking to me? This is weird. So many things were going on in that scene. I was too young to understand, but looking back at it now, I'm like, she's probably just getting comfortable in that town, and this white guy just goes, oh, Forrest Gump. You could call me Forrest. I'll do this on Audiolab, make it funnier, sound better. Hey guys, what's up? Hey, I'm a little hoarse, dry mouth. I took a little break in between. Oh God, actually it took me, I was supposed to drop this episode Wednesday, so this is Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now it's Thursday. This is the last part of this episode. I'm just tired, but just not nothing to do with podcasting. Just life. Honestly, I'm taking on more than I can handle, and trying to listen to other people's podcasts, and hey, I followed you and I'll follow you back. Listen, if I haven't got to you, I promise I will. I'm just a little bit gassed out, but you know, like everybody, just gotta refuel. I think I'm not physically tired, and I'm not mentally tired. I think I need something new, something different, topics wise. So my last part was how to be funny without trying. Well, that's tough to explain. I've said that. The last part on my note here is that, well, that's something that can't be taught. But like all great comedians, even semi-decent ones, people that consider themselves funny, fast, the gift of gab, they're fast with it. That's the way I would say it. You're fast with it. It means you're fast with a thought. You know, when I was younger, sometimes I would spit out shit that made no sense. It was a bad and a good habit, I guess, because it taught me how to think fast. Now, most people do have this, but they're hesitant and they either overthink what they're going to say or they just don't say anything at all. And if they do say it, it's very rare that they say anything and that it's like, Bill said something. Oh, that guy, Bill. He'll crack you up every once in a while. But Bill's not the life of the party kind of guy. I don't want to be that guy either, the life of the party. I don't think I ever really was the life of the party. I think I was more like the bullshitter at the party. Walk in, just see all these people like, this is great. They're drinking, they're, just fucking living life. I'm on my 7th beer, don't you gonna catch on? And all that was like, I guess. I don't know. You got any of this, any of that? Alcohol, to me, was like, I just drank it because everybody else was. But I was that guy walking around with 2 pictures in your hand. Sorry about that. I'm fixing my goddamn phone. My charger is just going off the rails. For some reason, it's not charging. I thought, there's a bad charger. It wind up being my phone that's not picking up a good charge. What do you do about that? What do you do when it's not the charger? It's the charge part in the phone itself. It needs to, lock in better. Anyway. I gotta make a fucking podcast show just called Anyway. Getting way off subject. Jesus Christ, I think the heat is up to 103 because I'm starting to melt in my chair. I'm trying to get semi-comfortable while I'm telling this last bit. I wanted to do a 10-minute, 15-minute how to be more funny. Well, let's say you are that shy guy or gal sitting at the bar stool, listening to other people talk about their daily happenings, and the conversation is round and about, and it's coming to you. What do you say? What do you do? Do you say something funny but true? Do you just put a bunch of random words together? Hopefully they stick like, what was that, Elmer's glue? What was it, Elmer's glue? The glue, it was like a can. It was a bottle of white glue in school. What happened to whiteout? Who uses whiteout? Weird stuff that people don't use. So let's say you're getting this conversation going. This guy at work the other day, he jumped right off the building. Yeah. So he killed himself. Who was it? It was Pete. Pete, an accountant? Yeah, Pete, an accountant. The guy was like, he was pretty funny. I guess he wasn't that happy though. Apparently he, wanted to end it early. Something happened in his life. Did something happen? Did somebody die? What happened? Does anybody know? Well, I think I heard that he wanted to be a comic, and some of the bosses that are in the hierarchy anarchy of this world were there. And they were shaking their heads in disbelief because he made jokes about where he worked, and he mentioned the place of his employment. And when he found out about that, and he looked into their eyes, into their soul of the bosses who maintain his real paycheck, he knew right then that he was going to be done for. He had no money, and wait a minute. Bob, how do you know all about this? Well, I was his secret lover. I was there that night. They also caught us giving each other blowjobs in the bathroom, unexpected. Wasn't supposed to be part of the joke, but I did get some of it on his shoes. You're joking, right? Pete wasn't that kind of guy. He had a wife and kids. Apparently, they were adopted, some Asian chick, and the kids were adopted from Ethiopia. Fat little fuckers from Ethiopia. Ethiopia. Hard workers, that's all I know. Really didn't know them. Little Ricky and Johnny. Such wonderful kids. I just thought you said you didn't know them there. I kind of did, kind of didn't. Kind of situation where I kind of like picked out the kids that this guy Pete was getting. Or my late fiance. Wait, what do you mean fiance? What are you talking about? He was married. How could he be a fiance, be married? Well, that's traditional bullshit in this world that people believe in, you know, like, till death do you part and all this stuff. We didn't believe in that. Pieces of paper. Look at me, I got a PhD in brain surgery. My paper says I can do this. I printed out a paper last week that says I am absolutely batshit crazy, but nobody believes me! And then the roundabout comes to you. So, Pete killed himself because he thought he did a bad skit at his comedy bit place. Also, the bosses were there. They were shaking their head in disbelief because you believe that Pete believed that this joke or skit did not work with the material he was doing. Plus, they then walked into the bathroom and the other part of the joke was it was all over your shoes.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Say hello to friends below and... fuck me, I got a... What do you do under the mistletoe, kids?